Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, warshippers of all ages, welcome back to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we are bringing you a first look at upcoming Tier 10 Premium Destroyer. This is a Spanish destroyer. This is Álvaro de Bazán. I think I'm getting that right. I'm probably putting the accents on the wrong syllables. Apologies, I don't speak Spanish. I barely speak French, so don't hold it against me, guys, okay? But this is Álvaro de Bazán, and she is currently in testing. I believe she's actually in her second iteration in testing now. I probably would have normally done one of these videos last month. I've gotten into the habit of giving wargaming a little bit of time to stew before I crank out first look videos. Not always, but generally. Because what I'm finding is, you know, they generally will run 2 complete test cycles. A ship will almost always go to testing for 2 full patches before they even contemplate releasing it. And that means that the first patch cycle that it's in testing, it's probably up for a tremendous amount of change, and we've seen a lot of that in the past. It's that second test cycle, which is where we are with Bazán right now, that it's probably honed in pretty close to where they expect it to be. And so at that point, it's like, okay, guys, probably time to crank out a video. So here we are. Bazán is entering a very crowded field. When she comes to the game, she will be the 22nd Tier 10 destroyer in World of Warships. So she's going to have to offer us something really interesting or maybe a little unique or whatnot in order to, I think, draw attention. And right now, I don't think she does that all that well. And we'll talk about that as we go on into the video. So let's start peeling away the layers here and see what we've got. Starting at the top, survivability, 26,500 hit points. This is well above average for the tier, but it is not best in tier because, again, guys, remember, ships like Elbing and Attilio Regalo exist. However, it is very much on the high end of things, right? She is technically only a few hundred points behind Regalo, so she's basically got a solid lock on third place, just a smidge ahead of Ragnar. So she's got a lot of health. But she's going to need it. She doesn't have any heals or smoke or any tricks in that regard. So as we go deeper in mind, deeper down the review, keep that in mind. Maneuverability and concealment, 40 knots, 730 on the turning circle, for 5.6 on the rudder shift. This is roughly comparable to Attilio Regalo. I'm going to draw a ton of parallels between this ship and Attilio Regalo over in the Italian tech tree because they are so very clearly related. It's obvious that this ship, had it existed, at least I don't believe it did in this configuration, but you know, the idea here is that the Spanish Navy has either purchased or been given a Italian destroyer for their own use, okay? Because these are Italian guns, it's an Italian hull, and so you're going to see a ton of parallels between this ship and Regalo, and I'm going to draw lots of parallels there because it's the closest thing that we have to basically show you, hey, if you own a Regalo, this is the comparison, right? That way, if you want to have an idea of, you know, hey, do I want to invest in this thing? Regalo is probably your best bet. So these numbers are very comparable. She is a tad slower, with slightly better turning statistics. So because she's a little slower, she's going to handle a smidge better. But these numbers are close enough, I don't think you'll notice the difference. Detection on the surface is 7.68 kilometers, technically. That is actually pretty solid for a ship with this much HP. Consider Elbing's surface detection is over 8 kilometers. Attilio Regalo's surface detection is almost 9 kilometers. And they both have about this health pool. Ragnar, which is right below this thing in health, has a surface detection of over 9 kilometers. These are all pre-buff numbers, of course, right? A full stealth rig, Álvaro de Bazán gets down to 6.2 kilometers. That basically ties her with a ship like Harugamo, and just puts her just slightly more detectable than something like a Hayate. So she's clearly not the stealthiest destroyer, but as gunboats go, this thing is actually fairly stealthy. So you got to keep that in mind. If you run across one of these in a game and you're a torpedo boat or you're something that's fairly stealthy, you got to be on your toes because if this guy wanders across you, he has the ability to ambush you and make you cry just a little bit. Armor layout, I skipped that, but we'll take a brief look. Bottom line is she's a destroyer. She has 19 millimeters of plating. There is nothing exciting nothing exciting here. This is not a ship like Haberos that has a sneaky 50 millimeter plate on it. She's a destroyer. She'll take full pens from just about everything, or over pens, depending on what you're throwing at her. Artillery. This is where we got to spend some time, right? Because this ship is all about the guns. Her torpedo armament, and we'll get to that in a minute, is not really anything to get super excited about. So what you're here for is the guns. These are Italian 135 millimeter 45 caliber turrets. These are the exact same turrets that you're going to find on Attilio Regolo. In fact, these, near as I can figure, these are the same shells, the same shell ballistics in general, right? The 1950 damage, 9% fire chance is identical to what you would get out of Regolo. The difference, of course, being that Regolo fires SAP as her alternate shell type, whereas Álvaro de Bazán here gets the traditional AP shell with a 2,500 damage per shell. So this is a much more traditional armed destroyer. HE, AP, no fancy SAP shenanigans. Now, what are the issues with this main battery? Well, for one, the reload, 6.6 seconds. Yikes. This is like Colbert reload. This is like Elbing reload, almost. Elbing is a little worse than this, but like, this is not good. So you have a decent alpha throw weight, 2,000 per shell, 8 shells in a salvo, but they're going to be spaced out more than you would like, right? This is a ship that's definitely going to want to look at a skill like Fearless Brawler to get that reload time down to 6 seconds, and a ship and a skill, what's that? Whatever the 3-point skill is, gun skill training, or whatever it is that dumps it by another 5% to get it down to 5.7. You can shave almost a full second off this reload time with a couple of captain skills. And of course, I'm not even gotten down to main battery mod 3, which would bring it down even further, probably just under 5. All in, you can probably get this reload down to right at about 5 seconds flat, which for these guns is not bad, but still means that you're about the alpha, not necessarily the sustained damage. 12.6 kilometers of range is solid. It's not anything to crow about. Again, this is not Elbing, right? Elbing's, Elbing. Okay, this is actually a little better than Elbing. Elbing's at 12.3 kilometers. These are 12.6. So you could potentially look into playing this as a bit of a long-range gunboat a la a Habarovsk or something along those lines. I don't think you'd have a lot of success with it, but you could try it if you wanted to. The other thing I want to point out here is that, like many of the super ships, Álvaro de Bazán gets a gimmick mode, a burst fire mode. You see there? She can put 3 quick salvos downrange on a 1.2 second interval. After she does so, though, she spends 30 seconds waiting on her guns to come back up. So it kind of, this is always what the question, like, what does this signify? I guess the barrels get hot or something? I don't know. But the bottom line is, unlike some of the super ships that have this kind of a gimmick, she has the stealth to really be impactful with this burst fire mode if she comes in ready and looking for that shot. Imagine a scenario where you're in this ship, you're pushing an opposing torpedo destroyer that outspots you, but maybe he only outspots you by 300 to 400 meters. Let's say it's a gearing, something along these lines. You outgun that guy, particularly in this burst fire mode. You're really going to mess him up if you have that burst fire mode queued up and ready to go. If you run into him and you don't, there's a cycle time to switch over to it. That you'll lose some of that advantage. So you got to keep that in mind. I don't know. There's some gimmicks and some tricks that you can play with these guns that I think players might be able to adapt to and find. But so far, the main battery to me feels a little underwhelming on paper. Obviously, I haven't played the ship, but I look at it and go, yeah, this doesn't excite me. And I love, I love playing destroyer. This ship right now doesn't really suck me in like, oh yeah, I got to try that. Right now, I look at it and go, maybe there's something there, but I'm not convinced. Torpedoes, we mentioned this earlier, the torpedo armament is not very exciting. Oh, I guess I should mention, she does have 8 barrels, right? She's got 2 forward of the superstructure and then 2 all the way aft. So she's got a lot of barrels for the main battery, but still, I don't know, there's just something doesn't click with me on this yet. Torpedo tubes. She has 2 amidships, 2 quad launchers here, kind of underneath these bridges. This is very similar to the style you find on Adriatico and Regolo. These are almost identical to Regolo's torpedoes. There are a couple of minor tweaks. For starters, Regolo's torpedoes reload every 90 seconds. These reload in 95. They are the same range, the same alpha, the same speed. Regolo's torpedoes have a 1 kilometer detection. These are just a slight bit less stealthy. Bottom line is, these are Italian torpedoes. These are basically sea mines. You're going to vomit these out, cross your fingers, and hope someone stumbles into one. That's about I mean, that's what you're going to do. The 95-second reload is nice, but you're not ever going to build this ship for torpedo build. It's just absolutely not worth it. These are not anything to get excited about. Now, with that said, one of the benefits of the things that Regalo can do when in a pinch, she has her little crawling smoke that she can use to push to potentially charge a static ship or a battleship, a slow-moving battleship, and deliver those torpedoes at close range, get all of them on target, all 8 of them for a big alpha hit. Bazán cannot do that. She has much more traditional smoke here, fixed smoke generator, much like you would find on Khabarovsk, to use the example we keep coming back to. So basically, you have that, you have a standard engine boost, and you have a standard damage control party. So consumables-wise, nothing to really make the ship stand out. We'll talk about depth charges because, again, this is becoming more and more relevant as depth charge. I'm seeing, I don't know about you guys, I'm able to reliably deliver more and more depth charge attacks on opposing submarines. So this is becoming relevant. The reality is here she is treated like a European destroyer with very, very, very weak depth charges. Only 2200 alpha on these and 10 in a rack. And now, obviously, I don't know the dispersion pattern. Let's have a peek here. Does she have some K-bomb launchers? She does off the sides. I don't see any rolling off the back. So my suspicion is that all of these charges will eject off the side, and she'll put basically down 2 sticks of 5 off the aft of the ship down each side. But again, with 2200 alpha damage, that's not a lot to be excited about. So submarine hunting is not going to be this ship's forte. Just know that going in. Neither is AA defense. Bazán has among the worst AA defenses of any Tier 10 destroyer. She has only a middle ring and an inner ring, and that middle ring only out to 3.5 kilometers, only 39 DPS. So, like, there's just kind of no reason to even turn it on until they're in the inner ring. Now, that inner ring, 3 kilometers, is pretty good. Like, as far as inner rings go, I don't think any other Tier 10 destroyer. It looks like Delny's got one about that size, and so does Elbing. And like Elbing, she has a lot of damage in that ring, right? Again, you're looking at 95% efficiency, over 300 DPS. So planes that are on top of her will take damage. She'll be perfectly serviceable at mauling fighters that are trying to spot her and stuff. But this AA suite is not going to do anything. You're not going to be screening teammates. You're not going to be dissuading carrier strikes. None of that is going to be happening with this AA suite. So, yeah, that's Álvaro de Bazán. I don't know, guys. I'm kind of mediocre on this ship right now. She feels like she doesn't... There's a lot of Tier 10 gunboats, right? Regalo, technically a Tier 10 gunboat. Khabarovsk, Delny, what else? Ragnar, Elbing. We've got a lot of really good ones. Each of them, at the moment, tends to offer something a little different. Khabarovsk has a lot of guns, but she's not all that maneuverable. Delny is more maneuverable, fewer guns. Of course, Elbing has the ridiculous German 150s. And good range to go with them. Ragnar brings the silly, quick-firing Swedish 120s on top of some... I'm sorry, those are 6-inch guns. 152s, like the autoloader 6 inches on top of the radar she has. So each of those ships offers something a little different, a little interesting. Álvaro de Bazán right now does not feel that way to me. I mean, the ship, she's gorgeous to look at, but right now, I don't see where she fits into things. I don't know anybody that would take this ship over almost any other Tier 10 destroyer currently available in World of Warships. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. Come on down. Maybe you're seeing something here that I'm missing. I'd love to know. Anyway, guys, there's our quick first look. Hope you enjoyed that. Wash your hands. Be safe. I'll catch you next time.